Think your law firm is too small to be targeted by cybercriminals? Think again. In this Counsel Cast Chambers episode, we're pulling together the most eye-catching moments from our conversation with cybersecurity expert Tom Kirkham. And trust us, it's a wake-up call. Tom breaks down the most overlooked risks facing law firms today, from phishing scams to ransomware attacks, and why your IT provider alone isn't enough to keep your firm safe. If you think cybersecurity is just an IT issue, this episode will change your mind, because protecting your data is protecting your clients, your reputation, and your entire business. Let's get into the must-know highlights. This is Counsel Cast Chambers, the best of Counsel Cast re-examined.
The website is one of those things we'd want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because it's frequently overlooked. We're seeing a big increase in compromised websites because everybody wants to do as cheap as possible. Well, as a leader, you've got to realize that what are all the different vectors? You know, what's our attack surface look like? And one of those vulnerabilities is a website. And the last thing you'd want to do is infect somebody's computer because your website was compromised. So you include that in the risk assessment. Now, here's the deal with software updates. And it doesn't matter whether it's a web server. There's nothing magical about a web server, by the way. It's just a computer.
Right.
And it runs software. It's got a database. It's got a web server platform. It's probably WordPress, on and on and on. You got Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Office on your computer, right?
Yeah.
Most people blow it off because, especially in law firms, it wouldn't surprise me if everyone listening has experienced installing an Office update and it broke a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's the problem. Sometimes these security updates are addressing what is known in the business as a zero-day threat. Now, what that means is this vulnerability has existed for months and it's been actively exploited in the wild. A couple of years ago, we had the Microsoft Mail Exchange servers. That was an instance to where it's the minute we became aware of the situation, we had to shut down production. And it was the middle of the morning. And when you tell a law firm it's got 50 attorneys in it that their email server is going to go down at 10 a.m.,
yeah,
lawyers are especially
super happy about that.
Yeah, you know, all the accounting firms and financial, banks and everything that we do, we can live for 10, 15 minutes, maybe, if that's all it takes. We don't really know.
Right.
We don't know, but best case scenario, it'll only be down 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on the server.
Yeah.
Had to shut them down. It was non-negotiable.
Oh,
it was too big of a risk to wait to let everybody else be a guinea pig, let them work the bugs out.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't happen often, but the lesson learned is you've got to look at what the vulnerability is and how much risk your firm is going to have for however long you delay applying that patch.
Yeah.
And so you have to do a risk analysis on software patches. And that's something that's overlooked by even the best skilled IT people because that's not their objective. There's a difference between IT and InfoSec when it comes to objectives. That investment in PCs and the servers and the routers and the switches, all that infrastructure, that's to make the firm more productive, more efficient, more profitable. Security, InfoSec, security's job one. Not productivity, not efficiency. Those are certainly considered. And yes, it is a little bit more hassle. But hopefully, if I do my job right, it will become something and it's as accepted and not even thought of, much like putting your seatbelt on when you get in the car.
Yeah.
Locking the front door to your house when you leave.
Right. Exactly. Well, and at the end of the day, it does have a bottom line number to it. It does affect revenue and productivity if all of a sudden you're hacked and now you're completely derailed with whatever work you are going to do, having to deal with this and deal with whatever costs are related. And so it is not quite as directly related to the productivity as like those IT guys and setting up faster computers and all of that stuff. But I do think that's why it's so overlooked, is because they don't do that straight line to the bottom line and how it does affect your revenue and income if the bad things happen.
Yeah, well, especially with any type of professional services company, a lot of your value of your organization is built into your reputation.
Yeah, exactly.
And despite the ethics requirements, which I know everyone wants to comply with, but there's research that indicates proactively defending to make sure you don't get an attack is 4 to 5 times less expensive than an
Yeah.
actual attack.
Yep.
But that's really kind of a BS number, because if it's a fatal attack, you could go out of business.
Right.
40 to 60% of businesses that have a major cyber attack go out of business within 6 months to 2 years.
Oh my gosh. And what by a major cyber attack, do you mean like a ransomware where they get in and
a ransomware attack can easily do it. You know, I was using a small law firm here in town that got acquired by a former client of ours that actually left because they didn't want to pay for the EDR.
Oh boy.
They acquired the firm I was using, and I knew they'd had a ransomware attack after they fired us. And then the reason I knew is the guy that they hired to do their IT used to work for me, and he knew I had Bitcoin. So I helped them pay their ransom.
Oh,
But
no.
when they came into the firm, and I like them as people, but I said, I can't use you guys. I can't take the risk, because you become an attack vector to me.
Yeah.
You know, think about your whole law firm. Who's the stakeholders in your law firm?
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're dealing in intellectual property or
Yeah.
patent law.
Yeah.
You could be an attack vector to that very single client, or those clients you do intellectual property for. They can be an attack vector for you.